Hey, everybody. I want to welcome everybody to the phone call tonight. This is your chairman of the board of the Chiropractic Trust, Dr. Mark Romano. It is a pleasure for me to introduce and to interview tonight Jay Doran. Jay, how's it going, buddy?
Better than most. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for being here. Now, just a little background. Jay and I have met on Facebook. I'm always looking to be inspired. I'm always looking for energy of people who are doing great, successful things on a high level. You couldn't help but notice this guy. He was everywhere on Facebook. I loved his live Facebook feeds. I loved the interviews that he was doing. You see him on Break Free Go Live with Eddie Martin. And so, we just started talking. He would put these great questions out there, and I would be intrigued, and I'd make some answers. He'd make some comments, and we'd go back and forth. So Jay has many different businesses. He's an entrepreneur, and he has a business called Culture Matters. Jay, tell us about what Culture Matters is all about.
Sure. I guess to put it simply, the vision, I would say, I want to live in a world, or we, as in my team members and myself, where every CEO knows why they're in business and how to clearly and concisely transcribe that so their culture lives forever. That's the vision statement. Yes, and there is a difference, and we can talk about it today, between a vision statement and a mission statement. So that vision statement is a visual representation of the world I want to live in. So every day, every breath I take, every step now I sound like I'm singing a song, every step I take. That was not planned, and I am not a catfish, I swear.
That's a great song, though.
Wow. Yeah, oh, God. I wish I could see comments right now. So I hope so the goal there is to coach leadership on why they started so they can transcribe that clearly and concisely to actually impart and control and create alignment in their culture. I guess you could share, if you want, whether it's now or in a little bit, Mark, a little bit of what you've done since we last talked to kind of put that into context.
Yeah, man, I would love to. Many folks on this call are non-therapeutic chiropractors. What does that mean? What we do, we offer a service for the public, for humanity at large, a service that improves the quality of their life through the correction of vertebral subluxations. Vertebral subluxations being a destructive entity that everybody in the world lives with, keeping them from reaching their fullest potential, from being the happiest they can be, the most successful, the most abundant, the most wealthy. And chiropractors have the ability to find vertebral subluxations and help correct vertebral subluxations for a better expression of life. It's a service that everybody needs, and typically the culture that we create is a culture of excellence, not for ordinary people, but for extraordinary people who want to live to their fullest potential, who want the most out of life, to prosper and ultimately live the life they're capable of living. Not everybody wants that, but those who do have habits that support that. So now in talking with Jay, one of the things that Jay brought up with me is like, look, man, whatever you do, if it's not written down, dies with you. Every business dies if it's not written down. I'm like, well, you know what? I never thought of it that way. And you've got to have some simple, basic 10 commandments, if you will, that are going to inspire people that everybody can 100% get on board. He says, I owned a gym, and I had this gym, and it went from nothing. It went from being in negative numbers when we took it over, and me and my business partner.
You want me to tell the story? Or?
Absolutely. I'm just going to finish what we were saying, and then you go ahead and tell the story. Sure. Basically, it inspired me to say, listen, I'm going to write down the things that are absolutely essential if you're going to be successful in the businesses that I've built, in the chiropractic offices that I've built over the past 20 years. And, yes, being a non-therapeutic chiropractor, you've got to know your philosophy. You've got to be cutting edge, that you know vertebral subluxations, how to find them, how to correct them, why you're doing what you're doing, and how to communicate that to the public. But then the core values that you were talking about are the absolute core values that support the intent of the business. And here's some that I wrote. This is a work in progress. Number 1, committed to excellence in our specific objective. 2, committed to absolute honesty. 3, constant development of our skills, never-ending improvement. 4, always over-deliver. 5, never compromise. And these are the starting points. So, Jay, please go into the story that got you going to where you're at now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. You're amazing for taking action on that. So I just got to say that. It was August 15, 2015, so it was not very long ago, where I decided to move from a business that I created within a gym in Tribeca, New York. It made it very successful with the intent to leave that opportunity, actually start my own gym with my best friend and our partner, American Express. Yeah, our credit card. So I moved about 100 miles. Yeah, it was. We partnered with American Express. I tell people, like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, I had a credit card. Yeah, true story. So I moved. Me, my credit card, girlfriend stayed in Queens. Unfortunately for her, she was nice. But anyway, and I moved 100 miles to literally the middle of nowhere. I don't even remember the town. I just know it was somewhere near Easton, PA. And it was a Craigslist ad. It was about $100 a week that he paid for. And we had the intent, right, the vision of starting this gym. Well, within 10 weeks, no investors at this point, just the credit card and following him around, shouting around, unpaid, we found a gym. And that gym was a previously non-successful Club Metro USA. It's a small franchise in the PA, New Jersey area that actually 1-800-DENTIST had, the guys that had started that company had sold it, made money, and said, oh, let's open it. Well, about 2.5 years later, they actually went out of business. And we were able to somehow orate our vision to a publicly traded REIT that owns this strip mall, Federal Realty Investment Trust, to give us the opportunity to move into that gym with the equipment that was there with no members and do a startup. So with that credit card and now one investor, which was just enough to get inside of the gym, first month, last month, and security, had about $8,000 left, that American Express, and then we had to figure out how to paint the gym and take these 3 sleeping bags, me, him, and his brother at this point, and turn it into something. Well, with a list of about 80 members' names from the previous gym, which they obviously hated anybody that had to do with the gym since the gym closed and they lost money, I have to call them now and communicate my culture to manipulate their culture to see the value in coming to our gym. About 40 of them joined, and of that 40, we were able to turn that 40 into 300-plus training clients, 2,500-plus members, and over 30 staff within 100 days. Now, that sounds like, wow, that must have been amazing. Well, it was actually the hardest thing that I'd ever done. And through the trials and tribulations of that period, living on credit cards, eating ramen noodles and peanut butter, where I go when I'm stressed out is a place called Barnes & Noble. And it was about maybe 3-4 weeks into that debacle at first. And I'm walking in Barnes & Noble, and at this point we have 2 or 3, I would say 2, 3, maybe 4 trainers fully booked and a manager, and we're growing, but it's hard. So I'm in there, and I see this book. And it's just almost like it's, you know, you see a hot chick at a bar. It's like she's staring at you, but she's not really staring at you. She's looking at the guy behind you. That book, yeah, true story. Until they think you got money. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so I'm looking at that book, and it says uncontainable. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Container Store, but if you haven't, they sell containers. Like that's what they sell. So, all right, you think, all right, how do they do that? Well, this book's premise was the owner, Kip Tyndall, attributed, after about 36 years, they went public with about 84 locations selling containers. I read the left sleeve of the book where it tells you why they wrote it, and what I read was these 3 factors, he attributed their massive success to their culture, and these are the 3 outcomes that I'm going to express to you. 9 out of 10, this is number 1, 9 out of 10 of their 9 out of 10 of their employees were previous customers. So I'll say it again. 9 out of 10 of their employees are previous customers. They get paid an average of 50% more than any other retailer. And they have 1/10 of the turnover of any other retailer on average. And he attributed that success, 6,000, 7,000 plus employees, to their 7 foundation principles, the values that they express through the 300 plus hours of training in the first year and the 160 hours of training after that every year, that tie into the actions that they want their people to take. So it inspired me to say, principles? We don't have any principles. Our goal was to grow massively, and we ended up doing that. So I said, one night I got inspired by this book. He said they have 1/10 of the attrition. They get paid 50% more than any retailer, and he's saying it's because of their cultural principles. And I'm going to give you an example of one of their principles. Okay. The 7th principle was called the air of excellence. Now, that statement doesn't mean anything until you place meaning to it, and the meaning was the context, and the context was this affirmation. The affirmation was, when the customer walks through the door, they get greeted with a warm, hearty hello. The experience starts there and ends with a goodbye. Now, it may sound simple, and that's what makes it so profound, because if you go to that company, the intent is most of the time, the outcome is most of the time is you're going to get greeted. And that's what led to the fact that 9 out of 10 of the employees are previous customers. So I'm like, oh my God, light bulbs, light bulbs. So I go home that night and I drew up, all right, what would it look like if me and my partner, like who are we? Because that's our character. And what would it look like if we wrote down our belief systems in affirmations that would lead to the actions that I wanted my guys to do? Because what is leadership? Leadership is conveying a message in your mind so you can inspire others to aspire to take action. And those we call systems. So I wrote down these 10 core values, and every day between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, not paid, wanting to be at our meetings we already previously had, I story told, like I'm doing right now, to help influence in a positive way my people to buy into these belief systems, and that it was so utterly important that they knew them, they could say them, because I knew if they could say them, they would think them. If they could think them, they'd create ideology behind them. If they had an ideology behind it, they would take actions. If they took these emotionally intelligent actions, they'd form these emotionally intelligent belief systems. And if they did that long enough, they would create habits, and those habits would become convictions, and those convictions would create a business I want to be a part of. Now, I couldn't orate that as eloquently as I can a couple years later today after the thousands of hours of research and practically and pragmatically helping companies, but I just had this gut feel, this vision. About 6 weeks later, and it wasn't easy. At first I had pushback. Of course I did. And that's what leadership is about. It's about playing Tai Chi with your employees, not boxing them. Right? Like, hey, I understand that you don't want to learn this, and I get that. And you know what? We're just going to keep going because I love you. After a couple weeks, imagine you walked into a gym. Our first cultural philosophy was called the first 3 steps. And the context, the affirmation behind it was, when a customer walks through a door, they get greeted with a warm, hearty hello. The experience starts at the door, it continues throughout, and it ends with a goodbye. Mark, if I could have filmed someone getting greeted 10 times when they walked into that gym, Mark.
Yes.
Like, I wish I had the tape. And it changed my life forever. So one night I'm laying in bed, and at this point we all live together. We have this big house we rent, and we like literally live together, like you see in the Facebook movie, you know, startups. Right. Like PayPal was started with Elon and them sitting on the floor there. And one night I'm laying in bed, I'm like, I got to do something about this. And I left. I left my business. I left with nothing, actually. My partner and I were on not a good term. I mean, I'm sure you can imagine if you have a baby with a woman and you leave the baby and the woman. Right. She's not very happy.
No doubt.
And it took now we're great, and since then I've moved on financially and everything, and on to the next. And he's doing what he's doing. However, that following year, I did everything I could possibly do not to go get a job, not to get distracted. And I actually took that vision, that passion, read a couple hundred books in the context of real estate, and everything you can imagine, got into the real estate business and utilized core values and principles that I studied from the top real estate agents in the world and crushed the statistics of people that start real estate in a city that I knew no one. And did the exact same thing in a brokerage that I was a part of. And then that's when I really knew I had to do something with this. So since then, I've been speaking as much as I can so my eyes bleed, and I've come up with what I believe these 3 steps can help any leader that wants to create alignment to what the actions that they want their people to take, ownership of every day. And we call that culture. I'm going to define that for you guys. This is the definition of culture. Culture is a metaphorical ecosystem of shared belief created by an influencer. And whether you have whether you're in your business today or you're on it, someone has created, some influencer, some convicted individual, whether they're positive or negative, that's in your business, is controlling your culture. And the goal is for you to do it.
Absolutely.
So we call them that's the bad egg, right? The bad egg. If you have a bad egg in your business, you have to look at yourself and was it clear and concise so we can hire character and develop skill sets, or, people can fall into line or they'll fall out on their own. And so my vision is to live in a world where every CEO knows why and how, right? Not just, find your why, but how to create that by finding it. I call it finding it, transcribing it, and doing it daily. So we don't see those fluffy principles, if we even have them, sitting on the wall, and you're like, well, yeah, go to my About Me page, right? You want to know what we stand for? Go to my About Me page. I want to see a priest or a pastor say, oh, yeah, the 10 Commandments, yeah, let's go look at the wall over there.
Right. Right.
So drawing that analogy, guys. So real quick fact, if you don't know this, in 1917, Fortune did a study, the top 100 companies in America, and I read this in Richard Koch's book, Good Profit. He has the number 2 private company in the entire country. It's worth $100 billion. He took it from $20 million from his dad and turned it to $100 billion. In his book, he says in 1917, there were 100 companies. Fortune did a poll, and 96 years later, only 13 were still in existence, and only 7 were still on that list. And I'm thinking, isn't that like Usain Bolt or Michael Phelps winning gold medals today, and next week they're out of shape? What the hell happened in 96 years? It wasn't the systems, guys. It was the fact that a business is someone's vision to a solution of a problem, and the profit is the margin in between what it costs and what the income comes in. And if that vision is not taken seriously and CEOs play telephone with that vision, the company changes and goes out of business. So culture matters because culture creates matter. And matter is money and systems and actions and life.
Awesome. Now,
I could probably keep talking for 18 more hours on culture, but maybe you have a question for me. I'm sorry. I get excited.
No, I love it. Just to clarify, when you talked about businesses, were those the businesses in in 1917 that were like $1 million businesses, or the top businesses of that time?
Top 100 companies in the entire country, only 7 are still on that list, and 13 are in existence. That means the 87 of them either got merged and shifted, bought out, or like bankrupt. You hear these statistics that 9 out of 10 businesses fail, Mark.
Right.
That's not true. Every business that has ever started has failed. So I would argue that every major faith, which we're not talking about whether it's true or not, it's true enough to someone that chooses to form an agreement to believe it. Christianity, Catholicism, Scientology, all of these religions in the world, they've lasted thousands of years, and yet that's only belief. And yet a business, which is like tangible products, why are they all going out of business? Why aren't businesses lasting that long? And the point is because the values when that founder, when that Mark J. Romano started his first chiropractic and brings it to 3 and then brings it to 100, if he doesn't clearly and concisely transcribe his essence, which is his character, in a form that can be scaled, that can be believed into, if he doesn't do that, then the person that is his successor is playing telephone with the business. I don't know if anyone's ever played telephone, but you know that game where you say a word or a statement in someone's ear and then you go around the table, and by the time enough people whisper in the other person's ear, they come back to the first person and it's a completely different word?
That's right, yes. I think we've all seen
that. That's called business.
Yes, sir.
That's called the current state of business in the world. We view business as something negative, right? So that creates a negative culture, and what I call this the WT matrix. The WT matrix is your words trigger thoughts. Thoughts multiply. They become ideas. Based on ideas, you take actions. Actions lead to results. Based on results being positive or negative, most people stop if they're negative. If they're positive, they keep going. If they keep going, they form belief systems around those. And eventually they become a habit, and habits that get results become convictions. When someone steps into a convicted belief system, that is called leadership. I'm a convicted individual on this line right now. So therefore, that could alter the state, the energy consciousness, the culture within people on the line on the call, and they're more likely, potentially, to buy into my strategy because I'm convicted. So if you have people in your company, employees that you want to develop into leaders to carry on your convictions, Mark, which is why you started the business, which is your vision, and you don't write it down clearly and you don't implement it daily, it will die with you.
It's awesome. Awesome. Now,
that's why our country is struggling culturally, because we don't read the Declaration of Independence every day. Damn it.
Sure. Yeah, it makes great sense, Jay. Now, let me ask you this. A lot of what you emphasize, and rightfully so, is about people who are working within your office, because it's essential if your office is going to survive that everybody be on board with these values, these core tenets. Do you in any way transcribe these core tenets to your clientele, or for a chiropractor, our practice members? Do you transcribe this culture to the people that you are serving?
Great question. So I just want to clarify, is the question, do I help? Do I press values on my clients, like you, for example? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah. So suppose
like, do I communicate?
Yes, and I hire you on to be a consultant, and I'm working with you. Are you looking for do you create that culture within the community that you serve?
So my answer to that is, if you or anyone on the line was agnostic today, and you went to any church, whether it's whatever belief system it is, and someone is trying to push their values on you, I want you to think about how you would feel. And if the answer is negative, then you'll agree with what I'm about to say. It is not my job to push any fundamental principles on anyone. And the fact of the matter is, just by doing that, there's no ownership in it. So what I have found is, and this correlates with what the word education means in Latin, which is educate, the answer lies within. A coach is supposed to ask you questions, because, Mark, your business is a reflection of you. My job is to ask you questions that guide your core values on paper, because your core values is a reflection of your character, and guide those values so you can take ownership and clearly and concisely transcribe that so it's simple, easy to remember, and it models the actions that you want your people to take. That's my goal. My goal and my duty is, my responsibility is to ask questions to help you figure out what that is. Once you take ownership, then we've got to work on how you're going to implement that through storytelling, through bringing everything that possibly comes up back to those actions. I'll give you an example. if you were to interview a guy like Kip Tyndall or a guy like John Mackey, CEO of Whole Foods, or a guy like Daniel Lubetzky, who runs the Kind Company, anything that comes up that has to do with a system or an action, just like a great priest, they'll ask, well, does it have to do with this commandment? Does it have to do with this core value? Every conversation that you have with an employee, a customer, a friend, at the end of the day, guys, what are conversations? People are either asking us questions or giving us answers. So we've got to bring those questions and answers back to our core values. If we don't bring them back to our core values, what is guiding our actions? Nothing. We're shooting at our destiny with a bazooka. I want to shoot at my destiny with a sniper rifle. So first, I want to answer your question again so everything's clear. No one can tell you what principles are what you should use. Now, are there fundamental principles like the golden rule that work? Of course. However, it is not my job to tell you that. You've got to find that answer within, because your business is a reflection of you.
Interesting. And now, do you find, say, with your values, do you typically draw people who would have either similar core values or totally be able to identify with these values that you hold within your business?
Great question. The answer is yes and yes. And just to get an idea of this, Mark, when you first started your business, with your energy and enthusiasm, I would argue that you were at the end of the WT matrix. The words you said to yourself every day, the thoughts you had, the ideas you had, the actions you took, the results you got, the convictions that you created. Mark, did you end up like attracting people that believe what you believe when you started your business?
Absolutely.
Now, the more offices you got, then we start saying to ourselves, shoot, where do I find the right people? Right. Because, and this is a problem no one can get away from unless they transcribe their core values and have the other leaders become convicted about them, because you can't be 10 places at once. However, it was your thought energy and it was your actions leading with example, not just words, that drew people to you. So wouldn't it be easier to hire someone, not just based on their resume, but based on questions that you reverse engineered based on your core values? But if you don't know what your core values are clearly and concisely, how are you going to hire the right people for you? How are you going to develop a leader to be able to hire the right people at the other offices? And how are you truly ever going to build a self-sustaining organism that will last forever?
These are great points. These are absolutely great points. This can save so much confusion and create so much clarity.
When someone tells me they're going to find the right people, I say, what are you going to get rid of your kid? You want to find the right kid?
Right.
You want to become a great leader? Study parenting. Now, listen, I don't know if I have any kids. They haven't found me yet. Just kidding. But when you study enough about parenting, you realize that your employees are your children, because if they were consciously in the mindset you are, they would be you. And your job as a leader is to tell the story, create alignment, inspire them to aspire to greater heights and take greater actions. That is your job. Now, the better you are at oration, the better you will be at taking people who may not share your belief systems and then inspire them to aspire to yours. Just like how no one in this call, well, I'm not going to say that, but most in the world aren't talking about what I'm talking about, and it's up to my ability to tell the story in the proper context to alter the culture, like our culture, right? So the better you are at doing that in your business, you'll find that you can get people to work harder, work higher, and produce more. And I mean, a lot of people want to hear that, right? They want, why? What's all this abstract fluff? Guys, at the end of the day, we all start our business because we believe in something, not because we're getting paid to start it. Nobody's paying our bills. So if you actually study psychology and neurology, there's something called self-actualization. I didn't make this up. Abraham Maslow was smarter than me. And after having food and after having shelter, purpose, which people throw around a lot these days, purpose is pretty high. Well, guess what, guys? you can become convicted about just about anything. Our consciousness can be pretty convicted. We can place meaning on being the best janitor or being the best, cowboy or being the best whatever. So it's up to you to transcribe your values clearly and concisely, inspire your people to place meaning on why they're showing up to work that is of importance to them, and then, of course, have systems in place, financially benefits in place so that they could also grow. But if you think you're going to pay someone more money to stay longer, or if you think you need to find the right people, take a mirror, put it on every wall you have, and when you walk out of your house and you put your suit on, remember that your culture matters, and look in that mirror.
Wow, yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is great stuff, man. This is great stuff. For somebody who's starting out, let's just say they're just now getting their own practice rolling, and maybe they're out of school, maybe they're associated with somebody for a couple years, what's one thing, of course for any business, but specifically we're looking at for a chiropractor, what's one thing that they can do to create a clear purpose and a clear objective for their office that's going to not only be inspiring and compelling, it's going to give that drive.
Great question. Write down why you started the business. If you write down why you started the business and you could keep that to 2 sentences and make it visual, that's your vision statement. That's your vision of what you want. When you write down the actions that are necessary for it to be accomplished in 2 sentences, that's your mission statement. Remember, clear, concise. And when you write down, if you could write down 5 words that describe you, to you, all right? So if that word is, Mark, give me a word that describes you. Go.
Impassioned, driven.
Wait, driven, all right? Wait, now, Mark, you said driven. We're going to pick this one. You ready? Without thinking, tell me a statement that explains what driven means to you, and say it. Go.
Unstoppable, driven toward excellence in everything that we do and relentlessly pursuing the best you can possibly be.
All right, pause. Every single person that crosses your path, that works with you and for you, when they say that enough, they think that, those thoughts multiply, those become ideas, they'll take actions, they'll create belief systems, habits, and they'll become convicted. And when they're convicted, they'll take the action. Because that's yours. Anyone can do this. Anyone can do this. Now, I'll give you an example. Keller Williams was the first real estate company in the world to create a profit share. Now, prior to, it was 1979 when the CEO, if you haven't heard of Keller Williams, in the shortest amount of time, they've got 157,000 agents, which is 50% more agents than RE/MAX, which was started 10 years before them. Okay, and their culture, RE/MAX, was to build a culture of giving the tools and the resources to experienced agents to be successful. They were very successful at that. What happened in 1979 when Gary Keller decided to leave his company and get into real estate, there was a bubble in like the 83, and he almost lost everything. He lost all his top agents, and he was like, how do I keep these people? And he came up with this idea of ownership and profit share. Now, there's one other thing he came up with, and that were these core values that he believed with his leaders that expressed what it meant to be a rock star agent, what he was. He was a rock star agent. And that was these core values. I'm going to say these for you. Ready?
Ready.
Win, win, or no deal. Integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first. Commitment in all things. Communication, seek first to understand. Creativity, ideas to results. Teamwork, together we achieve more. Trust starts with honesty. And success results through people. Now, those values line up with the fact that when you're a Keller Williams agent and you do enough deals, you get to keep your money. And like the CEO today says, the culture is there for the systems as the systems is there for the culture. So I'm going to give you a tangible way that when I coach those companies on their culture and actually applying this to get people to be more productive. Example, win, win, or no deal, integrity, do the right thing. So let's take that value, integrity, do the right thing. This is a fact. 9 out of 10 agents quit the business, real estate, within the first 18 months. Why? The major reason is they don't get enough listings, they don't go enough listing appointments, and they don't sell enough houses. They run out of money and so on and so forth. So the top 5% of agents do 95% of the business because they do what I just said the most of them don't do, which is pick up the phone and call, for example, for sale by owners. That is people that try to sell them their houses themselves. Now, here's another fact. 92% of first sale by owners never sell on their own. So if most agents, 90% of agents are quitting the business because they're not calling the people that actually don't sell on their own, what the heck is going on? What the heck is going on is this. Fear, false evidence appearing real. They don't pick up the phone. So when I speak to agents, I get them to believe that integrity, do the right thing. Guys, if 92% of for sale by owners don't sell without you, and your job is to call them and not sell them, but to ask the questions you need to know to help them, which is what the script is, how are we in alignment with what Gary Keller wrote down? Integrity, do the right thing. You're worried about calling them and being a salesperson, but hello.
I love it. I love it. Nothing gets done without sales.
That's how you take a value, Mark. That's how you take a value and you get people to take action. I believe that the telephone was invented in 1987 by Alexander Graham Bell to save me time. So I'm going to make 1,000 hot calls a day calling people that don't know me with love so they love me and I'll get more friends. Some of my best friends on this earth has been from cold calls. I don't know what a cold call is because when I'm on the phone, it's hot. Why would I call it a cold call? That's like calling my girlfriend ugly and want to have sex with her.
I get it. I get it, brother.
If you call it a cold call, you ain't going to make it.
That's right. That's right. Creates that negative physiology, so you're already going in behind the 8 ball. Makes perfect sense. And then having
everything is culture.
Yes. Yeah,
culture is created when your words become thoughts, and then you take actions based on those ideologies. And those actions become beliefs and habits, and you're convicted. People will look at you and say, I'm convicted. I am not a salesperson. I do not make cold calls. Yes, and that is why you don't help anybody. And that is why you're broke. And that is why you're broke. The telephone was invented to save time. The Internet was invented to bring us together. If you say the Internet's a bad thing, that is why you have no friends.
Makes perfect sense, Jay. I love this, man. Listen, you're on fire. Right now, if it's okay with you.
They just called the fire department.
I know it. They need to.
I think the cops are coming. I'm like in a public place yelling with this velvet jacket on right now.
I love it, man. Let's open up to some questions because this is great stuff. And this is the fire that we need. This is the fire that it takes to get to that next level because there's no other way. And just like with what you're saying, chiropractors have something that's so valuable to bring to communities, to bring to humanity. The biggest issue that chiropractic has is the chiropractor not seeing the value and not willing to risk everything and getting out of the comfort zone to bring this message, just like you're saying, to improve the quality of people's lives. Right now, guys, if there's any questions, because I know we got a good core group on the phone, anybody have any questions for Jay right now? Anybody been writing stuff down? You want to ask him something? Now is the time. Anybody at all? Okay, you guys think about your questions. So, Jay, let me ask you this question, too. Do you feel it is your duty, your moral responsibility to confront your comfort zone, to step out of your comfort zone, to bring what you have to your community and ultimately, to the whole the sector in which you serve? Do you feel it's your moral responsibility to be successful and to bring your message to the people that you want to help live better?
Yes, and I'll explain why not just myself, but every person that has ever changed the world, because remember, guys, it never takes more than one person to change the world. It was Rosa Parks standing up first that started that movement, okay? Why have I formed agreement? Why have I placed meaning to this vision, this purpose? Because I am at the end of the spectrum on what I have said 1,000 times in this call. the WT matrix. I have said enough words that have made me think on this enough to have this idea that then I took action, which got such positive results in my life that fueled that fire to make that such a tangible, real belief in my head that has created the habits of talking about it, that has created the conviction, which when you're convicted, that is what I would argue places you into self-actualization, which is the meaning you place in your life. We are all searching for the meaning of life, and yet we don't seem to understand that life is like the story of the two cats. There were two cats in an alley, and one cat was a younger cat that was running around in circles chasing his tail. And the older cat asked him, "Why are you chasing your tail?" He says, "Oh, I just finished college, and I learned that happiness is in my tail." And he said, "Well, that makes sense. You're right. Happiness is in your tail. But if you don't mind me sharing with you, I found over the years that wherever I go, my tail follows me." And anyone that has stepped into conviction will place meaning into their life. And you will wake up one day and say, this is why I'm on the planet. And the only way you're going to do that is based on the words you say, the thoughts you have, the ideas that come from it, the actions you take, the results you get, the belief systems that are formed, the habits that come from that, and the convictions you create. And that's what a leader does to rise and grow other people to become leaders, and that creates culture. Culture is as real as gravity or the wind. You just can't see it. But you will see it on your profit and loss statement.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt. And on a personal note, has there ever been a time that even after you had your tenets written down, that they weren't clear, or that even you weren't following them 100%, or that you sort of lost the vision?
I'll say that's a great question. So let's put it bluntly. Leadership is not easy.
Right.
So one thing I've found most is that your culture is hopefully created by the influencer, which is you. When there is alignment, it should always be growing with you. And when you are not rising, you are falling. So the more you grow, it may change. Those values may change, and that's okay. So there's no finite, this is how it's got to be. I'll give you an example. I added a cultural value to I added an affirmation to my principles, and it's the M. The M in Culture Matters stands for make it happen. Do it now.
Awesome.
Because by saying that daily, by having my assistant call me and say that daily, by having my people know that, visualize that, that's something I need to work on. That's something personally. Like, some people get up and take action. Sometimes, dude, I'm like anyone else. I procrastinate from fear too. So I know that I want to add that into my character.
Can you slowly repeat?
So I need to make that a part. I'm sorry, what?
Can you slowly repeat your definition of culture? Very slow, the sequence.
Yes. Culture is a metaphorical ecosystem of shared belief created by an influencer.
Shared belief.
So a metaphorical ecosystem of shared belief created by an influencer. And the reason I say influencer is it's usually, and doesn't have to be, it's usually not the owner, the leader. It's whomever people follow. So it could be the arrogant salesperson that does the best job that the new people follow. It could be the guy that's sitting by the coffee, mug, distracting everybody. So it's always there. So for example, there's the culture within your own mind, which is your metaphorical belief system based on your nature and your nurture, things that have happened to you in your life and your ability to process that. There's the culture of your family, which is your home life. There's the culture of your work. There's the culture of a community, society. Culture, if you actually look it up, we call, in biology, culture is in the Petri dish. There's the culture of humanity, we've got a world with 192 countries, thousands of different belief systems, cultures, and then we wonder why we kill each other. That's because there should be one culture that is just one smidgen better than every other culture, and that culture is human. Human culture matters most, right? If you want to really get into it. But that's another call. That's another call.
Right.
I believe that if you make a happy work life, it may make a happy home. A happy home could be a happy spouse. A happy spouse may be happier kids, and happier kids could lead to a happier family, happy community, and so on and so forth. So that's the essence of Culture Matters is let's focus on the companies first.
Awesome.
I hope you got the definition.
Hey, so this is Angela, and I have I have an actual question, and then I was wondering if you would repeat what you said a mission statement was.
Sure.
Before the question.
Okay. A mission statement and a vision statement. I'm going to explain both because it'll make it clear for you. The vision is your visual goal. Your mission is the tangible how-to. So I'll give you mine. I'm going to give you an example. My vision is to live in a world where every CEO knows why they're in business and how to clearly and concisely transcribe that so their culture lives forever. That's my vision. And my mission is how I'm going to get there. So my mission is to speak daily in every company in the world, using every platform in the world to get this message out to the world, right? And to build a team to be able to do that. So that would be the mission. So that's the tangible how-to. It's almost like think of this. This is actually important to say. The vision is your belief, and the mission is the action. If you take a business is culture and systems. When you take culture, it's the mortar. When you take a system, which is actions, it's a brick. And when you multiply them, or add them on, stack them, I guess you could say. Culture, systems, value systems. It creates success. When you see these big companies, the bigger they get, the more they try to add systems, and they lose the heart. They lose the essence. And people feel disenfranchised. The stockholder feels disenfranchised, and so on and so forth. So the mission is your tangible, how you're going to get there. Does that answer your question?
Yes. Well, that answers the part of it. The second part, or a different question, is you talked about core values, and I think you said that you might recommend 10. Is that correct?
I did not say that. I recommend whatever describes. So let me just clarify this. What I like to do, and this is not what everyone has to do, but what I found is if you take the title of your company and you match up, like Culture Matters, the word culture, my 7 core values are collaboration, unique, learn, trustworthy, and each of those words are in context. So collaboration means give first, expect nothing. That's what I'm doing on this call. I have not been paid. I do not get any tangible value that I can see right now with my hands, and that is completely okay because it matches my core value of give first, expect nothing. So I recommend that people figure out, they write down who they are on paper, like what are some words that describe them, and match those words up. Go on Google and put in the synonyms, right? If you're alone, try to find a synonym that matches it, just so it's easier for your people to remember. Make it easy for people. If you go to Whole Foods right now, they got 15 core values, but they're long as heck. Nobody wants to read that.
Okay.
Right? Nobody even reads any books except for probably people on this channel here. No one's going to go read all those freaking things. Who's read the Bible cover to cover? No. But 10 Commandments, I think you could probably remember that.
This is true. Okay, that does sort of answer the question I was going to ask, because I was going to ask how you would go about writing those for yourself or your company, sort of to get you going.
Write down what words that describe you. Write down words that describe you, and see if you can match those up with the title of your company. But what's more important than the words, Angela, is the context. It's what comes after the words. Because if I asked everyone in this call what passion meant to them, they'd all give me a different answer. And those answers are the outcome of their internal culture. And as a leader, I want all of their internal cultures to be aligned to mine because I'm where the business is rooted from. So the context is even more important than the word. So like, you know, Mark, give me one of your ones you came up with.
I'm committed to excellence in our specific objective.
Yeah, so see that affirmation? That would come after the word. So Mark could take like the title of his company and he could put that into words that would lead to that context. Guys, remember, words are just bridges to energy, and energy creates matter. You get up in the morning, you go to work, and you do stuff. Your energy creates matter. Words are bridges. If I said a swear word right now in this call, and the context of that is negative in all of your minds and all of your cultures in your head, you may now not look at me the same. Words are everything.
Awesome.
Okay,
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
And if you don't believe words are important, go tell me right now if you want to look in the mirror for 30 days and tell yourself you're ugly. Anybody want to try that?
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. And
I never met anyone that said they wanted to do that.
No way. And the people on this line, I can be very certain in saying that they know just how important the words are because we are such, you know, so specific in the words that we use in our office. So we would just be 100% on board with that, Jay. There's no doubt about it that those words are vital to your success, no question. Guys, some more questions. I think I heard somebody else had a question.
A layman can do everything except adjust. How do you get the layman to be a mini chiropractor?
So and now I want to clarify that. Someone that comes to work for your office, they have they've been through training and they've learned the skill sets to actually be able to solve a problem.
I don't mean the employee. I'm talking about the consumer.
Ah, the consumer.
Right.
Perfect. So that's interesting that you say that. So there's something that and this may be a different call, but
if they own what I own, our offices would be flourishing. There'd be people waiting around the blocks.
If they what? I'm sorry. If they owned what you owned?
If they owned what I owned, as far as passion and mission, there'd be lines around the blocks. So that's coming. That's something I call the culture of communication. So everyone right now, the first word that pops to your head, or when I say this next word, I want you to tell me. Someone say it out loud. Do you get a positive thought or a negative thought? And I'm going to say the word sales. What's the first thing that pops to your head? Positive or negative? To most people. To most people. Yeah. Probably negative.
Okay, now I want to pause right there. Sales is an antiquated way of explaining what authentic communication is, which is communicating the culture within your mind to others. And there's a way to properly do that to get people to buy into the belief systems you have. Now, that's a separate topic, right? That's a separate topic. But the fact of the matter is you can take your people, your employees, and when you have alignment with your character and those values, express your character, your passion, your ability, your belief system, want to go out there and maybe spread the vision to consumers, I will say that is a great prerequisite to start the training process of authentic communication. I'll give you a clear example because I know I can be a little abstract sometimes. When I said earlier that when I actively get my employees and other people I coach to believe that making a hot call is really just reaching out with the intent to ask the questions they need answers to know if they can solve someone's problem, that cultural belief system leads to the actions necessary and the training necessary, right, the systems necessary to get positive results. Like Anthony Robbins says, change your state, change your story, and learn new strategies.
Right.
So your culture, you want to build a culture, guys, around, and this is every company, because really a company is just a reflection of your character, which is your vision to a solution of a problem, and just multiply that into an ecosystem. So it's all founded upon beliefs. And then you train people on how to authentically communicate. So yes, one of the books that I'm in the process of writing is called The Culture of Communication, but one thing at a time. And that's how to authentically communicate your vision, your values, so consumers want to become customers. That's how you overcome objections before they came up. That's how, for example, Stalin was loved by his people. I mean, necessarily that wasn't maybe very logical, but that was his ability to delineate his culture through his communicative ability. And we call that sales, right? We call evil dictators like Hitler, we call them terrible people, and yet the 5,000 plus speeches he was able to do telling stories changed the culture, which was the metaphorical belief system of an entire nation, to do atrocious things. So to answer your question, if you're going to train your people on the systems to sell better, you've got to get them to buy into a belief system that they're not selling, they're solving problems. And that goes into asking questions, telling stories, listening to understand, not to reply, and doing the right thing. I hope that kind of helped.
Somewhat.
Let me give you a tangible to this. If someone disagrees with you, in Buddhism, the fourth law is the opposite of what you know is also true. So as a salesperson, as an authentic communicator, if someone disagrees with me, I'm not going to disagree with them because that's called confrontation. And neurologically, that's going to instill fight or flight. I'm going to form an agreement by acknowledging, hey, man, you know what? I get where you're coming from. Why? Because I authentically have formed agreement that I don't know if anything's right or wrong. And that belief system lets me agree with them. Now, neurologically, when you agree with people, it lowers their guard. I'll give you another example. If you walk into a store to buy clothing, and if you've ever walked into a store to buy clothing and you're short of time and you're not really sure what you're looking for or where it is, and you've walked into the store and the sales associate says, hey, do you need help with that? Logically, every reason in the world, you should say yes. But how many people say no? The reason you said no was because your amygdala, your instinct brain says, I don't know you, I don't like you, I don't trust you, I don't want to talk to you. Now, if only that person knew what authentic communication was and could alter your culture. For example, if you walk in a store, I'm going to introduce myself with my body language facing towards you, with my palms facing towards you, and my shoulders tucked back with a smile. Hey, good morning. Hey, I'm Jay, and I'll be walking back as I say this to lower your guard. I just started working here. I know the store is so big. Are you looking for shoes, a shirt? What are you looking for? Let me help you. Save time.
Awesome.
Some people call that selling. I call that authentic communication. Imagine the whole world authentically believe that, the opposite of I know is also true. I think we might not have a war anymore.
It's great stuff, man.
So form agreement. That's how you sell, right? Form agreement, empathize, ask questions, listen to people. Stop telling everybody that they need non-therapeutic.
Right.
Tell them that after they're interested. First, tell the story. Then ask the questions that you need to know if you can help them. Or ask the questions first after you tell the story, vice versa. Then when they tell you, listen, I can't do it, say, I hear you. I get that a lot. It happens all the time. Now, you just said this, this, and this, so I'm curious. If you were able to solve that, and that, you think starting today would benefit your life? Awesome. That's communicating your culture properly.
Having that story is absolutely vital.
Story, questions, like when I coach authentic communication. Tell the story. Well, first you qualify to know that they're the right person. Tell the story. Ask the questions. It's all about qualifying, getting information, and know if you can solve their problem or not. And if they give you, quote unquote, what an objection is, you've got to be able to culturally form an agreement with that. But like, I hear what they're saying. Like, you have to believe that. You have to actually say that to them so their guard goes down, which is actually neurologically, it's called the reptile brain, fight, flight, feed, fornicate, and freeze. And then you can empathize, right, which is the limbic system. And then you can give them logic because they want to do it, which is our frontal glandular lobe. See, don't read a sales book. Read a book on neuroscience. Read a book on psych and soc. And then you'll understand how to communicate your culture to other people. And if anything of that makes sense, that's what I did.
No doubt. A lot of it makes sense. I mean, a powerful story, opening people's minds up, asking questions. And, ask great questions. You get great improvement from where you're at about the progress, improve the quality of your life. Jay,
in essence, if you look at – I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, go ahead. Please, go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying, in essence, if you look at what a business is, which is someone's vision to a solution of a problem, if you lay out your cultural values clearly and concisely so people can form agreement with that, and then you have the systems to train them on how to communicate effectively with consumers, then everybody wins. You develop leaders, consumers become customers, and it just grows from there. It's really just two things, the culture development and the culture of communication. And you do it again and 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 again. And anyway, that's it.
I love it. No, man, that's great. That's it, but that's still just the beginning. Now, let me ask you this, Jay, we're winding down. What's the best way, if folks want to get a hold of you, if they want to continue talking with you, and what's the best way that they can contact you? Is it on Facebook, or is there another way that would be better?
Yeah, anyone on this call right now, feel free to PM me on Facebook. I'll get rid of one of the girls I creep on Facebook. I'll delete them, and I'll add some room for – no, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, PM me on Facebook, JAYDORAN. Feel free to – if you type in my name on YouTube, I post a new video every single day on a whole slew of topics, and the whole intent is to just give value to people, help people think a little bit outside the box to benefit their life. And, yeah, right now, I mean, that's the best way to reach out to me. Send me a message. I'll keep you posted. And that's it.
Jay, this has been great. I love your energy. And, just like you're saying, there's so many good things about the phone, about Facebook and the Internet. I always enjoy your posts. I love the energy. I love the people that you interact with. And you're definitely an inspiration, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm looking forward to the future, your future, our future. I mean, it's just there is no limit, and that's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it beautiful that we have this Earth? There's 7.3 billion of us, and isn't it beautiful that there's enough planets that we could each have our own? I mean, let's start aiming higher, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We're worried about petty stuff like what we're doing on Friday night. I'm like trying to read books.
That's right.
I hope this helps.
Oh, man, it has. It's exciting. Now, what we're going to do, guys, this is going to also, be recorded. It's going to be found. I'll have it on my page. It'll be on Jay's page, the Chiropractic Trust page, the membership page, the page for Delta Sigma Chi as well. I want to thank everybody for coming out. I know we went a little bit over tonight, but I believe it was well worth it. Jay, thank you for sharing your insights, your information, and your expertise. We really appreciate it, my friend.
I appreciate your time, so thank you very much.
Man, you're welcome. Guys, thank you for joining us. Be looking for the recording that's going to be posted by tomorrow on all those different pages. So thank you, and everybody have a good night, and I look forward to the future.
Mark, I just got to get you to say it. Say it. What culture? What culture?
Culture matters, brother. Culture matters.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Thank you. You're welcome. My pleasure.